hello everyone. Yes, I'm quite happy to present you today all the optimizations and features that will come with the UMS 12.04.100. The release date is the 9th of April, so from now on in 1 week. And I want to start with one of the most important topics, and I guess one of the most discussed topics in the IGEL community, and it's the performance of the UMS Web App. So after we released the 12.03, we got the feedback that for specific constellations with high amount of devices, profiles, or specific databases, there were some challenges with the performance. So this was the feedback that we got. And all the people that are familiar with agile development probably know this picture here. You build a product, you ship it, then you collect feedback, you measure it, then you learn and optimize the product and ship out a new version of it. And exactly that happened. So it's a really, really nice experience that I had in the last couple of weeks and months. So we got amazing, helpful feedback from the IGEL community. So at this point, I really want also to thank you, Sebastien and René, for the great work and that are you doing for the community. We had direct contact to different admins of the community to understand their situation, their challenges. And by doing that, we were able to analyze the code and find concepts and ways to optimize it. And by doing that, we had some really, really nice optimizations in regards of the performance of the UMS Web App. And when you download it now and you test it, you will see really big improvements. I also want to highlight.
I can share just one thought on this, Florian, as you were so kind to share with that the release candidate internally. The performance increase is tremendous. I would feel like it's 10 times faster, which I know is not possible, but every tree load, every device configuration opening is quite instant. That's a huge step in the replacement of the Java console, because we have a couple of customers who want to stay on that really old and old-fashioned gray UMS console. Please don't do so. The UMS Web App is really the place to go for the future.
Yeah, really, yeah. Thank you very much for that feedback. And yeah, I totally agree. It's a big step in the right direction. I also want to highlight that we are still continue optimizing it even further. So with the 12.04, there we have a big improvement in the performance, but we won't stop here. So even with the 12.05 and further releases, we want to optimize the performance even more. So stay tuned here, try out the new version, and I'm curious about your feedback. So saying that, I want to start with the regular features of the UMS Web App. The first feature I want to present to you is a possibility now to see the dependencies of apps. So there are apps in our environment that have a dependency to other apps. Until now, it was not possible to see the dependencies in the UMS. Now we achieved that. So when you go to the app section, you select an app, then you have a section there with the dependencies, and there you can see all required apps that are necessary for the app. And also you can see possible conflicts with other apps. So this is a huge improvement for the user experience for app management.
I would also add, especially for people who are using unified communication and offloading, if you think about the codec, about the different app that you need for the session itself, but also for the VDI optimization, knowing now which dependency you have when you click on a specific VDI optimization pack just helps you as an administrator a lot to better identify where you might lack a specific package that you need for the full-blown user experience that you want to deliver to your customers. So please look at this.
And also, so this feature here also based on feedback that came from the community. So I, I cannot repeat myself often enough. And we really value the feedback we received from you. And I really want to, yeah, highlight that we welcome each feedback. It's really helpful for us.
Music to our ears. Thank you, Florian.
Then for all the admins that are using template keys, I hope all of you until now at least got familiar with template keys. If not, I want to invite you go to the knowledge base, search for template keys. We have great articles there explaining it. It makes your life easier. And now even more, because we have two great improvements here in the UMS Web App. The first is that we have a validator now for the template keys. So you will have immediately a feedback if the template key that you are currently creating is already used. So you can type in something different, then it works. And the best improvement, in my opinion, is now you have the selection of all values, all template key values. So for example, if you create a template key for the language, now you can see all available values for the languages. So for example, German, English, Spanish, and so on. So that is a huge improvement in usability. Another improvement in the config dialog in the UMS Web App, when you are in the registry, you can now click at the parameter and then you directly jump to the configuration page where this parameter is displayed.
I just love this, by the way, because if you think about the old times where Control F2 brought you from the GUI, so from the configuration to the registry, you never had the chance to go back from the registry back into the GUI. Thank you. That would really save a lot of gray hairs on our end.
Yeah, this is just a small feature, but it can have a huge impact in the daily work, I guess. So yeah, I really like this improvement here. Then we have another little improvement in the config in the dialog here that you see. So when you open a device, so the device settings, you can now distinguish the sessions that are set by a profile. So you see a little log icon here that indicates that this is overwritten by a profile, and you also see the name of the profile. Then we also optimized our new search. It's now possible to search case sensitive. So you can activate the case sensitive checkbox here. And if you're doing that, you can search more precisely. And even better, the new searches are now available for the jobs and admin tasks in the UMS console. So when you are creating jobs or admin tasks in the console, and it's based on a formally view, you also see the searches that you have created in the web app. Another small change. You probably know the word communication token. You see it when you want to onboard and you want to use the one-time password. Then normally you are asked for the communication token. For the experts, it's clear that it's the third fingerprint of the root cert. That's also explained in the knowledge base. Now we have it stated out separately in the UMS Web App. So you can easily find the communication token there and copy and paste it if required. So let's jump to the UMS console. What features have we there? One really nice and helpful feature that was implemented by our development teams is a so-called sanity check for certificates. So when you import certificates in the UMS console, there's now a sanity check that informs you about for example, if the chain is incomplete, or if required private keys are not present, you will have an indicator there. It does not block it, but it shows and warns you that something is missing. Also, if you import key stores here, it's now possible to build the chain automatically, and it also informs or highlights missing elements in the chain here. I think this brings a lot of ease for the life of an admin. And yeah, I really like this feature.
It does definitely, because as we made a joke in the preparation phase of that presentation, the topic certificates and PKI is in every company a quite complex topic. And I would say that every administrator who are listening to us is feeling the same. Sometimes it's just a big black box where you really don't know which issue can happen. And in that case, having a sanity check coming from the server itself already helps a lot. And if that one is not working, please go back to your PKI administrator. He will definitely be able to help you, or just ask in the community and we'll try to submit some funny OpenSSL comments.
Yeah, perfect. Also, we add another improvement to our command line interface. From now on, it's possible to set the chain of the web certificates via the command line interface. It's possible to set up automate processes here. You can add certificates, key pairs, and so on, and you can also remove them. So this is a huge improvement if you're using command line interfaces.
Oh, that's, by the way, a good hint, because I'm not sure if every listener who is watching or hearing the release session is knowing what the UMS command line means. So let's imagine that you have a headless server. It can be a Windows server without a GUI, or a Linux server without a graphical user interface, or without an X server. In former times, you really had to SSH the device with a graphical user interface to configure the UMS server by opening the UMS administrator tool. There were no possibility to configure the server without having this GUI, which, when you use a server, is quite unusual. And I can't really remember when it was, but it was something around the UMS 6. We introduced the UMS admin -CLI command, which helps you to restart the service, to make the database configuration, or if you want to change the ciphers or the super user password. All the stuff that you can do in the GUI, basically, can be done via this command line tool, which is UMS admin -CLI. If you just enter that command into our knowledge base, you will get a lot of different examples on how to use it with screenshots. But that's really one of the most common tools that the UMS administrator will use during the initial setup of the UMS itself. After that, not that much anymore, hopefully, but still, you could. Great stuff.
Yeah, thank you for the explanation here. Let's see what we also have. So probably you know it from OS 11, we have a user login history feature, and now it's also available for OS 12 devices. So from now on, if you're using IGEL OS 12.4.0, which will be released more or less at the same time as the UMS, yeah, you can use this feature here.
Let me maybe jump back. I did mention that in our preparation, but the user login history is a great tool set which helps you as a help desk user or UMS administrator to find out where your user is working. So first of all, we have to mention that this set is not enabled by default, since we have data privacy reasons which might block this, but you will find a KB article, you will find a Tech Tip Tuesday videos on this, how to enable it. Let's imagine that Jason Smith is working somewhere in your company and you want to know if he's opening a call at your support, where he is, on which device, because he needs help. You can just search for that name, for that username, where he is logged in as a Active Directory user or a Citrix Workspace app connection. And then you can just search for the device where he is actually logged in and try to help him, which is extremely handy, again, for help desk and for first level colleagues who are trying to help a customer.
Perfect, thanks, Sebastian. Then let's talk about network optimizations. So last year, when we released OS 12 with the new unified protocol, it was compatible with reverse proxies with SSL pass-through. We then optimized the protocol so it was also compatible with SSL offloading. But for some solutions, we needed some adjustments. And now I'm happy to announce that our protocol is compatible with Azure Application Gateway and F5 Big IP. So to summarize it, we now at least we validated the compatibility with Nginx, with F5 Big IP, with Azure Application Gateway, and currently it's also in an investigation to be compatible with the NetScaler. The documentation therefore will come in the next weeks as well. I also want to mention that in general, the whole communication it's designed in a way that it's vendor independent. So per design, it should be vendor independent. As I said, for some solutions, we need some adjustments. And now, yeah, we have it for F5, Big IP, and Azure Application Gateway. Then let's talk about security. We introduced with the 1203 the first part of the remote security logging for the UMS with the console and ICG. Now we implemented the second part of it. So we now have a full support of security logging for the UMS. That also includes UMS Web App and our IMI, so our interface to the UMS. For the people that are not familiar with security logging, we have security relevant events in the UMS. For example, logins or when you create a new user or when you roll out new configurations to devices. These are all security relevant events. And per default, this remote security logging, it's not activated, but you can activate it now in the UI. And then all these events are logged. And all these events or this log is then available for log collectors or CM solutions of your company. So you can get all these events and then you have it in one system together with all other security relevant events of your IT systems. Then let's talk about the updates and additional support. We support Azure SQL managed instances with MS SQL login. This is now supported. Currently, we are also working on login with Entra ID. This will follow with 1205. But if you're using MS SQL login, this is from now on supported. We also updated Tomcat, Java, Angular, and Node. And I know that there came some questions from the community. We also added the support for Debian 12 for ICG. So if you
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, if you need the support here, just update ICG and yeah, you have it. Perfect. So to summarize it, why should you update to UMS 1204? First of all, it's faster. It's way faster than the UMS 12.3.110. As I said, we are still working to even optimize the performance here, that it's even more faster. But if you're on 1203 or 3.110, please update. You will see the change immediately. We also added the compatibility for new reverse proxies with the F5 Big IP and Azure Application Gateway. We added a sanity check for certificate import. We added a bunch of UI UX improvements. And of course, you have the most recent security updates in this version. Last but not least, I want to give you a short...
Hold on, Florian, because that's something where I really need to say a few words. I mean, again, I know that I'm interrupting you so many times, but We have so much listeners who are saying, hey, why should I update to a newer UMS if I'm already using one version which is working? Like an example, UMS 6. Should I update to UMS 12 even if I'm not using OS 12? The short answer is yes, please, because we are getting so much questions in the IGEL community regarding behaviors which are fixed in upcoming version of the UMS. And these fixes are only available, obviously, in the newest version. And even if it's called UMS 12. You didn't miss 6 versions in between. It's just a new name. And you don't have to use OS 12 to get all the performance advantages of UMS 12. UMS 12 is fully compatible with your OS 11 devices either. So please do me a favor. If you're an old UMS 6, please consider updating to 12.04, if not 12.03 already, because that would be the next step. And even if you are getting asked to open a ticket, the support would also ask you to update to the latest UMS version. So you can prepare a lot of stuff by already updating your environment to the latest version. And believe me, you will get a lot of fixes that you would never have been aware of introduced without even knowing how to implement them.
Yes, love this, Sebastien. I cannot agree more. Perfectly summarized. Okay, so let's see on what we are currently working on. So as I said, we work on further performance optimizations in the UMS Web App to make it even faster and to support the OS 12 adoption here as well. We also work on our preventative security model. Here we want to offer single sign-on with multi-factor authentication in the UMS console and the UMS Web App. So this is a huge task, and we want to enable this within this year, and we already have started working on this topic. We also want to unify the app import here. We got feedback that some users were a little bit confused about different options, how to import the apps here. As I said, this feedback is highly valued, and we working on optimizations here to streamline the app import. We also have some improvements for our MSPs and also for other possible users. We have a default directory rule based on OBS users, also for OBS roles and domains. So based on these categories, you can now set up default directory rules to get the devices into the correct folder. It's a really nice feature. I just can recommend it. And last but not least, we are working on the formerly called firmware customizations. It's now called corporate identity customization, and we want to bring this into the UMS Web App and even improve it here. So this is what my development teams are currently working on.
I mean, it's a huge step. Just wow. Yeah. Congrats, guys. Great job.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to. And now, at the end of our presentation, if you have any questions, please write a comment. I think I now took your part, Sebastien.
Yeah. With pleasure.
I'm really interested in your feedback, in your questions.
If you have any feedback for Florian, for his team, but also in general for us, please join us on join.igelcommunity.com if you're not a member already. And if you're a member already, just write us a direct message, just post into the channel IGEL UMS, or ask in the community chat if you're not sure where to ask the question, but we will be, René and myself, happy to guide you in the corresponding channels. And from there, I would say thank you very much, Florian, for your time. And I wish you a pleasant rest of your day and see you for the next release then.